There are a lot of misconceptions about feudalism. Rather than a contrived political system, feudalism was really just a series of loyalties. For nearly a millennia, civilization was held together by the oaths of honorable men. After the breakdown of the Western Roman Empire in the 5th and 6th centuries, society went through a restructuring. The political and social infrastructure provided by Rome ceased to function, creating a power vacuum that needed to be filled. Enter feudalism. Rather than a planned political system, feudalism can best be understood as an emergent phenomenon that occurred where there is no overarching political entity running the show. When institutions fail, oaths between men are all that's left. Loosely defined, it was a way of structuring society around relationships derived from the holding of land in exchange for service or labor. A combination of legal, economic, military, and cultural customs, it flourished in Western Europe between the 9th and 15th centuries. Some credit Charles Martel with laying the groundwork for the feudal system. According to German historian Heinrich Brunner, Martel secularized church lands for the purpose of leasing to his followers in return for their military service. As his military became more expensive due to reliance on cavalry, Martel turned to granting followers church lands to maintain their support. This theory is contested though, and others view feudalism as a more gradual development over time. But enough speculation. How did it work? Medieval feudalism revolved around three key concepts: lords, vassals, and fiefs, or lands. A lord was a noble who owned lands. A vassal was someone the lord granted possession of land in exchange for service to the lord. These vassals would get land and protection, while the lord would get a vassal he could call upon for military service. This is the feudal relationship. A wider conception of feudalism also incorporated the peasantry into the structure. Not only were vassals bound to their lords, but peasants were bound to the vassals through manorialism, a type of land ownership. In manorialism, or the manor system, peasants supported the owner of a manor with resources supplied by the land, while the owner promised them protection. Feudalism was all-encompassing, from the lords down to the serfs. Each had certain obligations and rights. It's best envisioned as a pyramid with a king, or the ultimate lord, at the top, and a series of vassalages cascading down to the peasant class. Lower classes granted upper classes resources or military service, while upper classes granted lower classes protection and land. Before the feudal relationship could commence and the lord could grant his vassal a fief, a formal ceremony had to occur called a commendation ceremony. This ceremony consisted of two parts, an act of homage and an act of fealty. During the act of homage, the vassal promised to fight for the lord upon command, while the lord pledged to protect the vassal from external threats. Fealty, from the Latin fidelis, or faithful, refers to the recitation of an oath that confirmed promises made during homage. Besides military obligation, vassals might be called upon for other duties like counsel. When facing decisions regarding both mundane matters like agricultural policy or gravely serious matters like declaring war, the lord might find it valuable to obtain his vassal's input. Seems like a reciprocal system, right? So what are some drawbacks of feudalism? One popular critique of feudalism is that little social mobility existed. This critique has some merit, but is often overblown. Social mobility existed, but the means of social climbing were different than today. Rather than business acumen being the primary social currency, martial prowess was the best way to move up the social ladder. For example, William Marshall became the most prominent knight in England, despite being born into a relatively obscure family. His martial feats made him a legend, and he went on to knight 2 kings and take custody over Henry III before the young king came of age. Serfs had it tougher, but by the late Middle Ages were granted increasing liberties, and a gradual shift from serfs to landowning peasants occurred. In England, a middle class emerged called yeomen, who were often minor landowners, guards, or subordinate officials. Another modern hang-up of the system is that it divided society into rigid classes with a clear hierarchy, a bad word for a lot of people today. But this hierarchy had immediate benefits that ensured stability. Everyone had defined roles that entwined society together. For a lord or vassal to neglect his duty meant usurping the structure that kept him in power. Since it was loyalty tying vassal and lord together, any breaking of obligations left the oath breaker with no legitimacy. A huge pro for feudalism is that it was extremely decentralized. Lords were directly in control over their immediate localities. Despite what Hollywood movies perpetuate, kings weren't regularly meddling with or terrorizing peasants on a regular basis. To meddle in the affairs of a vassal's fief would only anger that vassal, ensuring the king would lose their support. Of course, abuses of power happened, but these were aberrations of the feudal system, not inherent to its structure. Feudalism was uniquely equipped to handle the destabilization left in the wake of Rome's fall. It was a system that thrived in an insecure age, relying upon the honor of men and the value of their oaths. The emergence and prevalence of feudalism after Rome's fall begs a question. If we were to experience a similar civilizational decline, would we come up with a better system in the short term? Thanks for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like more. Also, please check out our X account for daily content like this, and consider becoming a member of our channel to support our work. Catch you next time.